this is our third lockdown, and this is what's going on right now. Is that people are waving their finger and they're waiting, and that's the problem. And then, oh wait, that's not the problem. That's the problem. And like I ask 5 different people, like, and that's my new opening question, is because I want to figure out where you are on the lines of COVID, because people, some people are super sensitive with it. Like I was talking to my neighbor the other day, and I was like, he's been out and about. He works in labs. His wife's like a doctor of some sort, right? And I know they're keeping their distance because they stay on their side, and like I can tell that they're wherever they are with it. And he lost it. He was like, I see our people on the corner and they're always having people over at their pool and blah, blah, blah. And he just lost it. He's like, here's my theory. He's like, everybody needs to be shut down for 2 weeks. Everybody stays home. And I said, well, what about cops? What about nurses? What about doctors and this and that? And he's like, everybody. And I'm like, well, first of all, that definitely wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I don't disagree, though.
But it won't happen. I said, you know why it won't happen? Is because they can cut stimulus checks all they want. Right. But the problem is, if somebody's already over leveraged, and maybe that is their fault for getting over leveraged. But the problem is, if they have an opportunity to earn or go debt broke tits up, what are you going to do?
Yeah. No,
you're going to work.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you've got a cough, sniffle, or cold. You're not going to stay home. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Or do people want to go bankrupt because there's some kind of like disease out there like that they don't really understand, and the rules keep changing every second? Or do they go to work and earn? So that would definitely 100% won't work. And then you talk to different people, and you're just like, they think that, oh well, it's the people getting together for Jets games, it's the long weekend, it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, it's Christmas, it's Thanksgiving, and they're constantly
always
trying to point a finger and say it's those people. And
people
those
going
people,
to church, and people going to freedom rallies.
And the finger keeps getting pointed to different spots. And so my thought and how I would survive through this COVID is shrug your shoulders. There's not much you can do right now. Like nobody can control this, what's going on.
Yeah. Like to your point about 100% compliance, right? He's absolutely right, in my opinion. And we talked about this a year ago. Remember? You have to you don't just shut some things, you shut everything. If and for 2 weeks, you shut down Walmart, you shut down No Frills, and people just go hungry. You figure out how to live for 2 weeks off whatever you have in your fridge. Or you say, you guys have 48 hours to stock up, and then everybody shut down. And you give out massive fines for anybody that's on the road. And
who's issuing those fines? Cops?
Yep.
So cops are on the road.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
what happens if somebody has a heart attack? No ambulance.
Somebody dies.
They got to go.
Somebody dies.
Somebody's.
You don't get to go to the LC, and if you're an alcoholic, guess what? I mean, that's the only way to do it, right? You have to understand. You can't just accommodate a group of people. Either you shut down everything or you shut down nothing, right?
But it would never happen. Because
I know, absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying.
100%.
If that's the only solution we have out there, then our other option is this.
Our other option is to just keep living our lives.
There's nothing we can do.
There isn't. You got to just live the best you can at that point. Have your awareness campaigns and just say, okay, listen, everybody, do your best, right? Here's some great suggestions on how to not get sick, but to lock us down and to think that everybody's going to comply and allow some business to stay open and shut the rest of us down, nah. And I know we're into lockdown number 3 too.
Yeah.
Now, I understand the whole, like, them freaking out and say, okay, we got to lock the world down because you didn't know, right? There was no history. It was you doing your best based on the information that you got. But after X amount of months of doing this, we know what it is, So, and if it hasn't been working for the last 15 months, well, let's try a different way, like just let everybody go back.
Yeah, I don't get how I thought in my mind that when we first got complete shutdown, like the world got completely shut down, I was 100% confident that they would never do it again. Like once you've done what you've already done and it didn't work, then I figured that you would pivot and try something different.
Yeah.
But it's like we continuously go back. Now at the same time, we look around the world and in my news feed, I'm seeing, like Florida's open, Texas is open, New York is opening up, California is opening up
even
in
California.
A couple of weeks, and all these places they're like some place, the mask is still recommended, but it's not required. Like that's what's popping up on my feed. Yeah. And then I feel like we're sitting here in Manitoba, and to be honest with you, I don't care either way. You know, like I'll pivot. This is my life. I get it. Yeah. And I've accepted it. And so if somebody were to ask me, how do you get through this? You accept it and move on. That's it. Yeah. Like you have no other option. But when you look from the inside out, and I never want to play it's not fair game, but when you're looking at the rest of the world and they're like completely over it, then I'm just wondering, what the hell's wrong with us? Mm-hmm. Like, what are we doing differently that they aren't?
Well, there's going to be all kinds of theories. One's going to be the vaccination, right? Mm-hmm. They're more vaccinated than we are, therefore they can open, which... Yeah. Are they? You know what I mean? Like, I know Canada is probably during the time of this recording, I think we're sitting over 50%.
Okay.
The U.S. is probably a little bit more, but they have 10 times the population as our country.
Yeah.
So does that matter, or is that would kind of wash it out, right? Because there's going to be so many people that are unvaxxed anyway, so why would you take the chance? You know?
See, California is surprising to me because if you've ever been there and you've driven through California, it's homes on homes on homes on homes. And so they're closer than I think Winnipeg is. And I don't know the per capita. You know, I try to honestly be a little bit blind to this kind of stuff. I don't really look at those things because I don't want it to dictate the way that I move my body, right? I kind of go off what other people tell me. So maybe I'm oblivious to this, so somebody could obviously correct me. But in my opinion, when I look at that and they're people on people on people and they're opening up, it's just like, why is it that Manitoba is shutting down? It doesn't make any sense to me.
And fun fact too, the state of California has the same population as the entire country of Canada. Do you know that?
There you go.
Yeah, 30 something plus million in California in the same as our entire country. I don't know.
So what would you tell somebody, Rick, so there's people, for me, I've had to learn to not worry about what other people are doing. So if people want to stay at home, they want to stay safe. Guy messaged me earlier. I wished him happy birthday. He said, "Thank you very much. Stay safe." And I almost messaged him and said, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, no.
Don't message that to me. Never mind. I retract my statements.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I get these kind of things, I've had to learn to just, you know what? That's their life. If that's how they feel, then so be it. Yeah. But what would you tell to somebody that was like, Rick, you know, it's been 16 months now. I've stayed home. I've stayed safe. I've never went out and seen my family. I've never gone outside because I don't want to cross paths with anybody. I've gotten everything delivered. I pre-washed everything. I have a sanitization thing before anything enters my house. But I feel miserable. Mm-hmm. So what do you tell somebody like that?
Well, me being a bit of a non-rule follower, probably more, and I would say more of a logical thinker.
Yeah.
And just like we discussed about the fact that it hasn't worked, so why are we doing the same thing?
Yeah.
But the message is always consistent, which is whatever you do to maintain a healthy body is going to get you through this, right? So do I know the answer in the future? Should you go out and try and wear no mask? Probably not, because you're not going to be able to enter any buildings anyways. You can fight it and all you want. You can say you have an exemption. Maybe you do have an exemption. I don't know. Yeah. But at the end of the day, just focus on your health and fitness, because the way you're going to beat a virus is by having a strong immune system.
Yeah.
Now, it's the only advice I could give.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest reassurances for most people is that if you have a healthy body, then your body's going to naturally fight it off. I mean, when we were kids, we would fall, we would scratch our elbows, we would get dirt in there, we'd get infections, you know, we've broken bones, we've had illnesses, and yet we've recovered. Yep. And so maybe for the non-fit individuals, I get it, it would be a major concern, but I think you're right when it comes to this. And so for the people out there, if they want some type of reassurances and they want to feel safe, walking around with hand sanitizer and wearing a mask, I think that those are all they're masks, and we've seen it out there where the COVID particle is a lot smaller than what the mask can actually block. Yeah. So they want you to wear double masks, triple masks, be in a bubble, and it's like, well, at what point in time does that stuff get dangerous? And so, yeah, sure, you can wear those masks and you can put on the COVID spray. But if you started to exercise a little bit more, started to sleep better, started to drink water, started to have better mental thoughts, because I think that honestly, above all, your fitness, your water, your nutrition, your mental game is above it all, because you can put somebody. Perfect example. You stand up, you have your eyes open, you know exactly where you are. You close your eyes, all of a sudden somebody says, okay, right now you're standing on a board and you're 100 feet off the ground. All of a sudden everybody starts swaying, right? It's that illusion that you have. You see your shadow and you think it's somebody and you kind of jolt, right? So your mind can play major tricks on you. So you have to start with your mindset and then you work on your physical ability.
100%. Yeah, and plus in addition to that, so we already have, I don't know word this. We have weak-minded. Okay, there's a lot of people that are weak-minded. There's not a lot that are strong-minded, and then you get the message of fear. And let's be honest, there's a lot of fear-mongering that's going on. So you compound the two together, and then you have people who now feel that the only safe way to live is through a mask and hand sanitizer. They have been told that is healthy.
Yeah.
Right. And if there's one thing that I would never tell anybody to do, if somebody said, what's the one thing you should do to never harm yourself? Don't restrict your breathing.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that we all need. Never restrict your breathing. Right. And hand sanitizer, what does that do? It just kills the germs. And at the end of the day, if you understand your own body, your body needs germs in order to create defenses to fight it off. That's how you build your immune system. So I just feel like the message that they're giving us is directly conflicted to the realities of how to stay safe.
Yeah.
You know,
the other day I saw a buddy of mine and I went to, give him the old fist pump, right? Like normally it's the old handshake and hug and whatever, right? Back in the day, this is how we do it. And so I went to give him the fist bump out of respect because I don't know where everything's at. He throws his elbow up at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is where we're at now?
Yeah.
Elbows? Like we can't even hit knuckles?
Yeah, they have a commercial like that now.
Oh, really?
The elbow commercial.
I'm like, really? Elbows now?
Yeah.
That's where we're at? And I was like, okay, man. But again, I'm really opening up my mind to being more just understanding people and where they're at in the situation. Yeah. And I think it's not for them. I think it's more for my mental health because otherwise I'm going to go nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The flip side of that, though, is this. How many people do you know, or not necessarily, maybe you don't know them, but have been super close talkers? And it's gross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, why are you, are we kissing now or what? Like, why are you right here, you know? So I feel, if anything, it has created this sense of space, right? And I don't mind that. And you know what? As much as I feel like the good old handshake is the way to solidify a relationship, a contract, or whatever, a fist bump is fine.
Yeah.
An elbow bump is fine. And maybe that's the new world. So here's a question for you. Do you think the handshake is dead?
I don't think the handshake is dead. The other day, this guy, whatever, he just put his hand out, put my hand out. But I'll tell you this, I get a little bit of panicky.
Yeah.
Because after I shake the hands, it's just
so automatically
engraved. It does, because
really,
I'm so used to these little pump stations everywhere, right? And everywhere you go, it's just kind of like, I like to wash. Like I use the stuff on my face, and I know it's not good for your skin, but I just like feeling that the clean. I took a shower before any chance I get to just kind of feel clean. And I feel like the sanitizer helps with that. So I almost have I think it's going to create a lot of problems for people with OCD. Right. So like if you had OCD before, I bet you the OCD is even worse now. But I think the close talkers, and here's a recommendation for close talkers, is keep your distance regardless. I think not even my wife and I talk that close, and we never sit like face to face like this. And there's still some close talkers out there, and they're taller than me, and they kind of come right around my face, and I'm like,
I know.
What are we doing here?
I know. It's so weird.
I'm like talking to you like this. Side necking you.
No, at the end of the day, I feel like if anything, people are going to certainly appreciate distance. They're going to appreciate cleanliness.
Yeah. So what's a recommendation for businesses in this third lockdown? Because the first lockdown was a complete shocker, right? And I think a lot of people were able to push through that. Second lockdown was a scary one, and this third lockdown, I'm starting to hear about businesses that are closing. And it's the businesses where I was always thinking, how are they even like keeping open when they weren't even that busy pre-COVID, and now they like, how are you getting through three lockdowns? What is your recommendation for those guys?
I have two. I have two recommendations. So number one is going to be the easy way out. I feel like your point there, some businesses weren't doing very well prior to COVID, and then they're certainly not doing well now. This is a great opportunity for you to shut it down and try something different. You no longer have to worry about the guilt or what are people going to say. I was a failure. I couldn't do it. This is your perfect out, right? COVID killed my business. Reinvent yourself. Try something new. On the flip side of that, if you want to keep your business going, you got to pivot to technology. That's really the only recommendation. The only way to do business now, unless you're Walmart or Costco, where you're allowed to stay open in mass quantity, you have to do things online. So my recommendation to any business owners is become a little more tech savvy.
So what about, so we hammered the people that are afraid but want to start living. We hammered the businesses that might have been hemorrhaging cash.
What do you mean hammer?
The hammer, we basically covered the topic.
Oh, okay.
The third topic is, what about people that want to be fit, but because the gyms aren't available, and obviously this is an easy topic, but I mean, there are people that still aren't embracing this.
No, 100%.
Is that it? Just embrace it. Like, it's time to go virtual. You got to make it work at home. That's my recommendation. I think that I go for walks every day. I get 10,000 steps. I track it, but that's not enough, man. Like, I'm 38 years old. You're 45. We're still in the prime, and I think that you still need to be challenged, regardless of your age. You can be. I mean, May. She's one of our virtual members. She's 72 years old, dude. She goes ham, right? And it's like,
that's awesome.
I think that you level down when you bring yourself down. So when people are like, well, I'm eating a little bit better and I'm now embracing salads and I'm going for walks and I'm drinking a little bit more water, I'm just like, okay, that's good enough. Like, maybe if you're ready to die in a couple of years. But I think that, and I believe that you need to challenge yourself. Like, if I was just doing walks and eating a little bit better and this and that, there's no way I would have the physique. There's no way that I would have that drive. And it would take so long to get back where I'm at right now. So for me, fitness is a staple of your life, and you have to be challenged, and you're not going to do it on your own by doing walks and gardening and housework. What's your suggestions?
Well, I would never discourage walking as ineffective. In fact, I would say the one thing...
consider walking exercise? Like,
I do.
Physical exercise.
Hold on. I'm saying there's certain steps, right? I understand where you're coming from. A guy like you, a guy like me, no, walks are not enough. To somebody who hasn't been moving for the past months and they're just looking to do something, but they're unmotivated and, it's working out's too hard. I can't work out at home. I don't have equipment. I'm not, whatever. Just walk. Start that way, right? Because if anything, it's going to create a bit of a habit for you, which means you're going to start. You might do 3,000 steps. Maybe the next day you do 5. Before you know it, you're doing 10. Before you know it, you feel a little bit better. Now you're drinking water instead of drinking pop, and then you're signing up with Fit Club and you're doing your virtual workouts, right? So start something. Now, to answer your question about people who are a little more advanced and who may be like, I can't work out because I'm not in the gym and I'm not motivated. Yeah, you got to figure it out. Like everybody, you're going to have to pivot a little bit. A year ago, you couldn't buy gym equipment. Remember? You couldn't get it unless you wanted to pay $1 million for something. Now there's gym equipment readily available. They have solved the problem. So invest in yourself.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be my recommendation.
I like that. So if anybody is where you are in your journey, so if you're brand new and you haven't worked out in a very long time or ever, then I agree that moving more, eating a little better, drinking a little bit more water, making some small changes is the key to success to get you going. But I truly believe that will plateau off soon. And I always rate everything back to weight loss. I would consider myself a weight loss specialist. Everything comes down to weight loss. When it comes to my mission, right? Like all of our members want to lose weight. You want to lose weight. We know that weight translates into fat, even though we don't want to get on the scale, but we do. Okay. So I've just accepted that's just what we do, right? Weight watchers. They're called weight watchers. Right. So we're just weight loss specialists. And I think that if your goal is to get down to a certain weight, that I think that starting those habits is 100% key. But at the same time, you need to challenge yourself, and you're not going to be able to do it on your own. I think that you have to pay for this. Unless you were some type of fitness major enthusiast before, like before COVID. I think that during COVID, you're going to need to hire the pros and you need to pay whatever it takes. And I think with the money that you're saving by not traveling, the money that you're saving by not going out to restaurants, by going to Jets games, by having like kids sports. Like I know somebody that was spending over 10 grand a year just in hockey. So that's 10 grand that you can reinvest into your health. And more importantly, the nice thing about doing these virtuals is that you just create a wicked room in your basement or whatever. Like we have a couple clients and the whole family does it in the same room. So now you have an activity. The kids aren't in school. So what do? You need to be their gym teacher, right? And what better way than to hire the pros?
And what a great way to be a role model as a parent.
Oh, big time.
To have your kids work out with you and to see them sweating. I love it.
I'll tell you this, my kids... See, and I love sports, and I'm super fascinated whenever these guys do anything. Kai was throwing sand at the thing the other day, just sand, and I was just watching. I was like, man, that's a good pitch, right? I was like, that's a good pitch. That's going to turn into a good pitch. Yeah. But at the same time, my kids, they just mirror what we do here. So when Jet comes here, what does he do? He's lifting up the weights. Yep. When we're at home, he doesn't shoot hoops like Kai does for some reason, but I guess because he was watching me all in the summer. But Jet doesn't. He just lifts the weights. So if you want your kids to be fit and you want them to take care of themselves, and especially working from home, they're just going to now pick up every single habit that you give to them. Yep. And I think that your kids are a reflection of who you are.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching this episode of Keeping It Real with Rick and RJ. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And hey, do us a favor. Give us a comment down below. Maybe we'll use your idea for a future video.